Not every team has the honor of winning a state championship, nor does every championship team enjoy the sweetness of an undefeated season. In 1989, the Broncos of San Juan put them both together in a season they will long remember as they captured the 2A state championship without losing a single game. In fact, San Juan outscored their opponents 325 to 125 as they established themselves as the unquestioned king of 2A football. This was a team with a quarterback who had been converted from the fullback position over the summer to fill a vacancy in the backfield. This was a team with a safety who, at 5 foot 4 inches, was so small that the opposition sometimes laughed when he took the field. They were never laughing when the game ended. San Juan had a balanced attack that averaged 168 yards on the ground and another 171 yards in the air. The program included 64 young men who were not only great football players, they were, according to their coach, outstanding young men, good students, and good examples to the younger players in the town and school. Teamwork, dedication, talent, and hard work were the keys to an overpowering team, which left all of their opponents gasping for breath. The San Juan Broncos, they're not just champions on the field, they're champions in the game of life as well. The Broncos opened their season against the Tigers of Hurricane. Immediately, San Juan demonstrated what would become one of their most powerful weapons. Brooks Shumway received the opening kickoff, started right, handed to Brent Bowers coming left, and it was off to the races as Bowers returned the ball 75 yards for a touchdown. The quickness of Shumway and Bowers, coupled with the disciplined blocking of the receiving team, gave teams headaches all season long. On the PAT, Ryan Knight snapped the ball to backup quarterback John Brown, who held as Mike Brown split the uprights to give the Broncos a 7-0 lead. Only 14 seconds had elapsed in the season, but San Juan had set the standards of excellence that they would maintain throughout the rest of the year. Hurricane's opening drive was quickly snuffed out as the defensive pressure of Troy Palmer, Brian Mayo, and Mike Brown forced a bad pass, which Brooks Shumway intercepted as the ball bounced out of the hands of a Hurricane receiver. 6 plays later, including this Mike Brown to Brent Bowers pass, Brown scored San Juan's second touchdown, extending the lead to 13-0. The Bronco defense didn't let up with the early lead. Their continued pressure shut down the Tigers again and again and forced Hurricane into 3 plays and a punt. Defensive end Troy Palmer was in the quarterback's face as he tried to throw, and it was probably with some relief that they punted the ball away after Palmer stopped this rollout with a bone-crushing tackle. However, the punt was just another chance for Bowers to show his stuff as he turned what should have been a no-return play into San Juan's 3rd touchdown, as he reversed his field and picked up several blocks from his alert teammates to return the ball all the way to the end zone for 7 more points. There was still 5:20 left to play in the first quarter, and yet San Juan already led 19-0. The Tiger offense kept running into the brick wall that San Juan called the defense, and time again, Hurricane found that they were unable to get downfield. The second quarter found the Tigers moving into Bronco territory, but great defensive efforts kept forcing the offense back, putting them into a desperate situation. This desperation set up San Juan's second interception of the half as Brent Bowers stepped in front of this pass to stop yet another Hurricane drive and to return the ball back out to the 30-yard line. San Juan's offensive drive stalled, but the defense was there again to stop the Tigers and force them to punt the ball away once more. Late in the quarter, Hurricane scored their first points of the game but were unable to convert the PAT, and San Juan took a 19-6 lead into the locker room at halftime. The second half turned into a solid defensive battle as both teams delivered their best blows on the defensive side of the line. San Juan, however, maintained the upper hand and gave Hurricane their first loss and established themselves as a force to be reckoned with as the season developed. Broncos traveled to Richfield for Game 2. The offense moved the ball well but was unable to get into the end zone. The defense took the field, and although they were hitting hard and gang tackling, gave up 6 points to the Wildcats as Richfield scored first. Once again, San Juan ran the reverse off of the kickoff. This time was Brooks Shumway returning the ball into Wildcat territory. On the next play, a pass interference call was declined by San Juan when Shumway made this miraculous catch on Richfield's 29-yard line. Mike Brown then connected with Brent Bowers for the tying touchdown as David Hall made a jarring block to get Bowers into the end zone. Both teams missed their PATs and the score was tied at 6-all. The Bronco defense refused to give anything up to the Wildcats for the rest of the first half, but the offense was also unable to put any points on the board. The first half ended with the score still San Juan 6, Richfield 6. Richfield had the ball to start the second half, but the Broncos held and the offense came out ready to work. Brown hit Bowers and moved the ball out to their own 45. On the very next play, Brown dumped the ball out to Mike Bowring, coming across the field, who carried the ball down to the 1 before being caught from behind. Mike Brown then ran it into the end zone on the next play, giving San Juan a 12-6 lead. Richfield could feel the pressure building from the Bronco defense, and on their next series, Brooks Shumway picked off a Wildcat pass after it bounced off the shoulder pads of a Richfield receiver. San Juan was unable to capitalize on the turnovers. They punted the ball away, and Richfield scored and went ahead 14-12. Richfield learned, as all the Broncos' opponents would, that you can't celebrate a touchdown too long with San Juan around, as Shumway handed off to Bowers again on the reverse. Bowers then moved the ball out near midfield. The drive stalled, and a short punt gave Richfield the ball in good field position. The Bronco defense knew that the game was riding on their shoulders, and they shut the Wildcat down, taking the ball away from them as Nielsen Brown recovered a Richfield fumble. San Juan now had a chance to score as the clock was running down. Brown first hit Bowring to move the ball 9 yards downfield. An incomplete pass and 2 other attempts at the first down failed, and it looked like Richfield would get another chance at the score, but the Bronco defense forced yet another Wildcat punt. Scott Gutke picked up several yards on the left side of the line. Adam Black added a few more yards. Scott took another crack at the Wildcats as he took the ball up the middle for a few more hard-fought yards. On a rollout pass, Brown then floated the ball up for Brent Bowers to pull down. He then hit Mike Bowring, who not only made the catch, but also pulled the Wildcat defender with him downfield till he was close enough to stick the ball over the goal line for the touchdown. This outstanding personal effort gave San Juan the lead at 18-12 and sealed the victory for the Broncos. Richfield tried to mount one more drive as time ran out, but the Bronco defense buttoned them up to stop the drive and win the game.
Someone's over the stage. They call us irresponsible. Write us off the page. Marconi plays the mama. Listen to the radio. Don't you remember? We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city on rock.
Week 3 found the Broncos back home as Kirtland, New Mexico came to town. The defense stopped the first drive to make sure that San Juan would have the first chance to score, and this time the tables were turned as Brent Bowers hit Mike Brown with a pass that gained 20 yards for San Juan. Unfortunately, a turnover gave the ball back to Kirtland. As they moved down the field, it looked like the Broncos might give up a quick touchdown to the visitors. However, defensive pressure forced Kirtland to fumble a pitch, and San Juan recovered. Mike Bowring made a great catch and then followed it up with an outstanding run to put the ball down to the Kirtland 44-yard line. Adam Black then caught this Mike Brown pass to move the ball to the 23. Brown hit Bowring again, and Bowring used a block from Brent Bowers to move the ball to the 15. Scott Goodkey gained 6 more yards down to the 9. Brown then went to the air once more and connected with Adam Black again for the first touchdown of the game. The extra point kick was good, and San Juan now led 7-0. Following the San Juan kickoff, the Bronco defense worked hard and made some great plays, but in spite of their effort, the Kirtland Broncos duplicated San Juan's drive and moved the length of the field to score their own touchdown. On the ensuing kickoff, San Juan faked the reverse, and Bowers put the ball on the Kirtland 47-yard line to start the next drive. Unfortunately, a turnover gave the ball back to Kirtland on their own 25, but once again, tough defense from San Juan forced Kirtland to punt the ball away. This time the Broncos started on their own 34. 2 plays later, Brent Bowers took the handoff and rambled 63 yards for the second San Juan touchdown of the night. Good coverage on the kickoff pinned Kirtland deep in their own territory. When they couldn't produce any offense and tried to kick the ball away, Scott Goodkey blocked the ball out of the end zone, scoring a safety for San Juan. Once again, the return team gave the offense great field position as Brooks Shumway returned the kickoff to the Kirtland 45-yard line. A great defensive stand by the Kirtland Broncos forced San Juan to give the ball up once again. Two plays later, Scott Goodkey picked off a deflected Kirtland pass to give San Juan the ball on the 40-yard line. Mike Brown then got the ball right back to Goodkey on the first play of the offensive series with this dump pass for 15 yards. Brown then hit Bowring for 10 more yards. The Bronco drive was capped at the 3rd straight completion as Brown hit Bowers for the 3rd Bronco touchdown of the game. The PAT was good, and San Juan led 22-7 with just 45 seconds left in the first half. Kirtland tried to stop the Bronco kick return team with an unsuccessful onside kick to start the second half. San Juan started their first drive from the Kirtland 48, and after 2 plays into the line which yielded only 2 yards, Brown went up top again for Bowers, who made the catch and put the ball down to the Kirtland 18-yard line. The Broncos then set all of their action right, and Mike Brown kept the ball on a naked rollout to the left to move down to the 2-yard line. Unfortunately, a Bronco fumble into the end zone stopped the drive and gave Kirtland the ball on the 20. San Juan's defense forced Kirtland to punt the ball away again, and a great Kirtland bounce put the ball on the San Juan 8-yard line. The pass play that didn't develop gave Brown a chance to scramble as he took the ball first to the sideline, then back to the middle to pick up 29 yards. A 3rd and long yardage play was the situation when Brown next found Bowring, who took the short pass over the middle all the way down to the Kirtland 25-yard line. An interception stopped the drive, and Kirtland had the ball once again on their own 10-yard line. Kirtland moved the ball downfield and was threatening to score when San Juan put together a defensive stand that included 2 tackles for a loss, a deflected pass, and a drive stopper at the 1-yard line to give the Broncos the ball back once again. The deflated Kirtland Broncos left Bowring open again, coming across the middle, and Brown found him and got the ball out to him. Brent Bowers then picked up 23 yards off left tackle. Next, Brown went up top for Bowers, who picked up 20 more yards. The The third quarter ended with San Juan on the move, holding a 22-7 lead. The drive stalled, however, when Kirtland intercepted a Mike Brown pass, but on Kirtland's very first play from scrimmage after the interception, Mike evened the score as he picked off a pass of his own and ran it into the end zone for the touchdown. The conversion gave the Broncos a 30-7 lead with 11:30 left in the game. Kirtland mounted yet another drive and was looking for the score again when Brooks Shumway stepped in and picked off another Kirtland pass to stop the drive. San Juan took over on their own 5-yard line, but was unable to move the ball and punted the ball back to Kirtland. During the final minutes of the game, as Kirtland tried desperately to get on the board again, the Broncos picked off 2 more passes, including this one by David Halls. The final interception of the night was made by Scott Goodkey as he took the ball out of the hands of a Kirtland receiver. The game ended with San Juan recording their 3rd win with a final score of 30-15. Week 4 was a special week as Monticello came to town for a Bronco homecoming celebration, and celebrate is what the Broncos did. The San Juan defense did the job in the first quarter as they forced the Buckaroos to punt 3 times in the first period. The Bronco offense demonstrated early what they were capable of as Scott Goodkey picked up 15 yards right up the middle. Adam Black gained another 16 to move the ball to the 34-yard line. Mike Brown then dumped a screen pass to Brent Bowers, who followed the blocking of Nathan Wilcox and Tommy Purcell to get the ball down to the 2-yard line. 2 plays later, Brown followed Nathan Wilcox and Chris Wilcox into the end zone. The PAT was good and the Broncos led 7-0. Defensive pressure stopped Monticello again, and San Juan took over on their own 42-yard line. This time, the screen to Black went to the right side and moved the ball to the Monticello 45. 3 plays later, at the start of the second period, Brown found Mike Bowring on a post pattern for 6 more points, and the rout was on. The Bronco defensive pressure gave Chris Wilcox, a lineman's dream come true, a chance to make an interception. With the rest of the defensive line charging in on the screen pass, Wilcox stuck up his big paw, grabbed the pass, and returned it to the 18-yard line. Unfortunately, the Broncos were not able to put the ball into the end zone, but any hopes that Monticello had of mounting a long drive was crushed by the San Juan defense. The Broncos saw their chance to extend their lead, and Adam Black made a great effort to move the ball from the Bronco 45 to the Monticello 35. Three plays later, Scott Goodkey cut off the blocks of Eric Spotted Elk and Mike Bowring to put the Broncos up 20-0. Despite Monticello's hopes that a trick play could help them, pressure from the defensive line like this made it possible for Brooks Shumway to pick off this pass on the second play of Monticello's drive and then return it to the 31. With only 39 seconds left in the half, Brown went to the shotgun where he hit Bowers for an apparent 31-yard touchdown pass. But an illegal blocking penalty called the play back, and the half ended at 20-0. Monticello recovered the onside kick to start the second half, but they lived to regret it. The defense gave the Buckaroos no room to breathe. When fourth down came and it was time to punt, the defense forced a bad snap, which gave the Broncos the ball on the Monticello 30-yard line. Once again, the Broncos used the option as Brown pitched to Bowers, who picked up a first down at the 4-yard line. On the next play, Brown pushed the score to 26-0 by taking the ball in himself. A fake PAT attempt gave Brown the chance to hit Bowers again for the 2-point conversion, making the score San Juan 28, Monticello nothing. The Bronco defense continued their domination and got the ball back for San Juan after just 5 plays. 3 plays later, the San Juan offense did what it had been doing all night. Score again as Bowers took a little look-in pass from Brown, 40 yards for the Broncos' 5th touchdown. The extra point was good and the score was 35-0. On the next series, despite continued defensive pressure, Monticello moved deep into San Juan territory. When it looked as if they might come up with some points, Scott Goodkey stepped in front of a Kirtland pass to pick it off and give the ball back to San Juan. Bowers then picked up 35 yards as he moved the ball to the Monticello 40-yard line. As the 4th quarter started, Goodkey picked up 10 more yards. A penalty took away another long run, so on the next play when Brown couldn't find anyone open, he pulled the ball down and moved it to the 10 himself. A swing pass to David Halls put the ball even closer on the 1-yard line. Then on the next play, Kyle Goodkey picked up the touchdown behind the offensive line. Even the junior varsity got into the act as Josh Hall picked off a late Monticello pass. Finally, with only 5 minutes left in the game, Monticello scored to put the final score at 41-6 as the JV continued in the form of the varsity. Homecoming was very sweet indeed as the Broncos savored the 41-6 victory. A trip out of state was in store next week as the Broncos traveled to Colorado to play Montrose. There was no time to bask in the glow of the easy victory a week earlier since Montrose boasted the 2 top high school receivers in the nation, along with the 4th-ranked quarterback in the country. From the opening kickoff, it was a hard-fought, tough-hitting game. Good pressure from Chris Wilcox gave Mike Brown the opening to pick off this pass to stop the first Montrose drive. Brown then hit Bowers to move the ball to the Montrose 10-yard line. Next, Adam Black gained 5 yards on the option. Then Brown dumped a pass over the on-rushing defensive line into the end zone where Scott Goodkey went up high to grab the pass. PAT was no good, but the Broncos led 6-0 with just over 5 minutes gone in the game. The San Juan defense stayed tough, making stop after stop and forcing Montrose to punt the ball away. On offense, Mike Brown couldn't find a receiver, so he picked up 16 yards on his own for a first down. A penalty moved the ball back to the San Juan 45, but Brown put the ball deep once again, and Adam Black made the catch. Unfortunately, Montrose picked off the next Bronco pass, and the defense had to take the field again. 1 first down was all the Montrose could muster, and they had to punt the ball back to San Juan one more time. To open the second quarter, both teams just traded punts back and forth with Montrose gaining ground on each punt. However, the great defensive effort of San Juan stopped the drive as Brian Mayo sacked Montrose's outstanding quarterback on a 4th down play. Mike Brown then dropped back and hit Brent Bowers to move the ball to the Montrose 30. On the very next play, a screen pass gave Scott Goodkey the chance to score as San Juan caught Montrose in a blitz. San Juan now led 12-0 with 6 minutes left in the first half. With unbelievable quickness, Montrose moved down to the 6-yard line in just 4 plays before San Juan finally got into their backfield. On the next play, they scored, and San Juan's lead was cut to 6. The drive had taken less than 2 minutes. Once again, San Juan ran the reverse on the kickoff, and it worked again, moving the ball to the Montrose 38-yard line. A draw moved the ball down to the 34, but 3 incomplete passes gave the ball back to Montrose. With the clock winding down, Montrose tried to get to the sidelines to stop the clock, but San Juan wouldn't let them, and they were forced to punt. Brown then went up top, hit Kevin Farnsworth on the Montrose 27-yard line. Another pass to Brent Bowers moved the ball down to the 20. A halfback pass from Bowers to Brown, which was short and should have been intercepted, somehow found itself in the hands of Brown. With only 8 seconds left, San Juan had one more chance to score. Brown put up a Hail Mary pass that was touched by 2 Montrose players before Bowers made the diving catch. He was just outside of the end zone, and there was no time left on the clock, so San Juan led at the half, 12-6. San Juan started the second half with Brooks Shumway carrying on the kickoff reverse. He moved the ball out to the Montrose 48-yard line. The second half became a real defensive struggle, and San Juan was forced to punt the ball away. The defense stepped in again, and hit after hit let Montrose know the strength of the Broncos. Then San Juan smelled out a screen and forced a turnover to get the ball back on their own 46-yard line. The defensive pressure stepped up on the other side of the line, and the Broncos had to punt the ball away again. Great pressure by the secondary stopped this run. And a blitz set up this tackle. And put San Juan in a position to make this interception. David Halls returned the interception to the 9-yard line. On their first play of the series, Bowers took the handoff from Brown and scored San Juan's final touchdown of the game. The extra point was no good, and the Broncos led 18-6. The San Juan defense fought hard, but Montrose picked up their second and last touchdown of the day to move the final score to 18-13. The remainder of the game was just an exchange of great defensive plays. With less than a minute and a half remaining in the game, the Bronco defense repeatedly stopped the Montrose offense. But perhaps the most exciting play of the game came when Brent Bowers intercepted this pass to stop the drive, taking the ball right out of Brooks Shumway's hands. San Juan ran out the clock, and their 5th consecutive victory was on the board. Week 6 pitted the Broncos against Cortez. Their 5-week winning streak was on the line, and the Broncos demonstrated why they were becoming recognized as one of the stronger teams in the state. Brooks Shumway fielded this punt and then handed to Brent Bowers, who waited for his blocks to set up and then returned the ball 80 yards for a Bronco touchdown. In spite of great defensive efforts, Cortez moved the ball to score a touchdown of their own and tied the game at 7-all. Even though Cortez had to be expecting the reverse on the kickoff, Brent Bowers followed his wall of blockers and picked his way down the field for his second touchdown return of the day. The Broncos recovered their onside kick and had the ball on their own 45-yard line. As soon as Scott Goodkey got his hands on the ball, he rambled 55 yards up the middle for San Juan's third first-quarter touchdown. Three touchdowns in the first quarter make it look like the beginnings of a rout, and San Juan's defense had no mercy. Cortez was only allowed 3 plays and ball. As soon as he touched it again, Scott Goodkey picked his way through the middle for 15 yards. Mike Brown then hit Mike Bowering, who took the ball to the 15. Bowers then carried the ball down to the 1-yard line. Adam Black then had the honor of running it in for the score, and San Juan led 25-7. As they started their next drive, Cortez never expected the sticky fingers of Mike Brown as he took the ball from the Cortez quarterback and rambled into the end zone while the camera tried to keep up. With still 7 minutes left in the first half, San Juan now led 33-7. The defense continued to overpower Cortez, and the offense came back on to continue their domination of the game. Unfortunately, the drive fell short, and Cortez had one more opportunity to get something going in the first half. The San Juan defense stopped them each time they touched the ball until they forced this fumble to end the first half. David Halls picked it up and returned it to the 30-yard line as the half ended. The third quarter continued in the same form of a blowout as Scott Goodkey rambled 60 yards to score for the Broncos. In spite of the defensive effort of the Broncos, Cortez moved the ball downfield on the next series and were threatening to score. However, a fumble gave San Juan the ball back on their own 9-yard line. Once again, Goodkey took the ball on a draw, but this time he went 91 yards for the Broncos as he scored their final touchdown and gave San Juan a 45-7 lead. When things go right for a team, it seems that even the ball knows where to go. On the kickoff, the ball bounced around a Cortez player and into the hands of Adam Black, and San Juan had the ball again. With the junior varsity sing slaying time, they kept the ball moving downfield as Spencer Singer hit Brooks Shumway to move the ball to the 20. The drive stalled as Cortez picked off the next pass, but they had to start their drive on the 20-yard line. The defense made some good hits, but Cortez came up with their final score early in the fourth period. The rest of the game consisted of turnovers and punts, and the 45-14 victory was number 6 for the Broncos. With as many kickoff returns for a touchdown as San Juan had, you'd expect the defense to be ready. Perhaps Bloomfield thought they were, but this time Brooks Shumway went 88 yards for the touchdown. Defense was the word in the first quarter, but the Broncos finally got their chance to generate some offense as they stopped the Bloomfield drive. Mike Brown hit Adam Black, who moved the ball out to the Bobcat 47-yard line. Another pass to Scott Goodkey moved the ball to the 17, but unfortunately an interception gave Bloomfield the ball back on the 10-yard line, as San Juan found themselves in the toughest game of the season. In the second quarter, David Halls got the ball back as he stepped in front of this Bobcat pass. A perfectly executed screenplay picked up 20 yards before the Broncos were forced to punt the ball away. But a punt block by Nielsen Brown gave San Juan the ball back on the 10-yard line. Unable to get the ball into the end zone, the Broncos settled for a Mike Brown field goal. Unbelievably, this field goal with 3 minutes left in the first half marked the end of the scoring, as San Juan would eventually win by a score of 10-0. Brent Bowers picked off this pass to stop the next Bobcat drive. On the next play from scrimmage, he picked up 31 yards. The Bronco drive stalled, but on Bloomfield's next play, Brooks Shumway picked off another Bobcat pass to end the first half. In spite of tough defense, the Bobcats moved deep into San Juan territory in the second half. A bad pitch, however, gave the Broncos a chance to get the ball back as Brian Mayo grabbed the ball and moved it to the 39-yard line. Once again, it looked like the offense of old as Mike Brown hooked up with Scott Goodkey to move the ball down to the 6. However, a pass from field goal formation was intercepted and Bloomfield was back on the move again. But once more, the San Juan defense tightened, and the 10-0 victory belonged to the Broncos. On the road again in Week 8, in a game that was played on perhaps the worst football field in the state of Utah, the Broncos met Moab, who had a new defense to the powerful kick return team, the onside kick. It didn't work. But the tandem of Brown to Bowers did as they hooked up for this long gainer. Adam Black picked up 25 more yards on this sweep to the left. A Bronco fumble gave the ball back to Moab, but once again the defense forced a punt that gave San Juan the ball on the 45-yard line. A screen pass to Bowers got the ball down to the 13 as Tommy Purcell and Nathan Wilcox led the play. But once again, the Broncos came up empty. The next drive took them deep into Moab territory, but stalled on the 2-yard line. The next San Juan series lasted only one play, as Scott Goodkey rambled 45 yards for the score. The Bronco defense did the job again as they forced Moab to give up the ball. Back on offense, the Christmas returned to the Bronco passing game as San Juan marched down the field. But the drive came up a little bit short as they ran out of gas. The defense took the field and stopped Moab's attempt at a reverse to end the first half. In the third quarter, the Bronco defense held again and forced a third quarter fumble, which gave the ball back to the Bronco offense. But by no means was Moab ready to give up and let San Juan have their way. On the next drive, Brown connected with Bowring for 10 yards. A second Brown to Bowring pass netted 8 more yards, but the drive stalled and the Red Devils were on the move again. Scott Goodkey held on to the Moab running back by his shirt tail until he could get some help from Brent Bowers. Brian Mayo fought off a double team to make this stop. And a host of Bronco defenders made the Red Devil quarterback wish that this play had never been called. Scott Goodkey then put on the drive stopper as his blitz put him in perfect position to stop this dive play. Scott then picked up 25 yards for San Juan around the left side behind the blocks of Chris Wilcox, Nathan Wilcox, Tommy Purcell, Brent Bowers, and Mike Bowring. Brent Bowers then picked up another 14 yards off of Eric Spotted Elk's trap block. And with 2:40 left in the game, San Juan finally regained the lead at 13-7 as Scott Goodkey ran it in from the 1. Moab was obviously not through for the afternoon as they quickly moved the ball down into scoring position, but the Bronco defense rose to the challenge and Scott Goodkey forced a fumble which Brian Mayo picked up and returned 64 yards to the 1-yard line. John Brown replaced Mike Brown, who'd been injured on the previous play, and he scored from the 1. He then teamed up with Mike Bowring for the 2-point conversion, and San Juan had win number 8. Week 9 found the San Juan Broncos in the quarterfinals of the state playoffs as they hosted the Rabbits of Delta. The heavily favored Broncos went to work early as Brown hit Mike Bowring for 32 yards. Brown then looked left, came back right to find Brooks Shumway making his way down the sidelines. The drive, which started so well, ended short of the goal line and the Rabbits took over. Delta could not generate any kind of an offense. So, after faking a 4th down play, they dropped into punting formation and kicked the ball away to Brooks Shumway. Brooke caught the ball, headed for the right sidelines, and returned the ball 45 yards to the Delta 40. San Juan faked the draw as Mike Brown looked for his receivers downfield. The defensive line forced him to scramble, and Brown took off downfield, escorted by Scott Goodkey, Nathan Wilcox, and Adam Black. On the next play, he found Bowering coming across the middle to move the ball to the 15-yard line. Then from the shotgun, Brown found Brooks Shumway between two Delta receivers, and he went high to snag the pass and fell into the end zone for the touchdown. The ensuing Bronco kickoff was executed just as Coach Burton Shaw had dreamed. The little chip shot to the left side floated over the heads of the receiving linemen and into the hands of Adam Black. The Broncos couldn't capitalize on their chance to extend their lead, and they punted the ball away. On the first play, Delta completed a pass over the middle for 20 yards. When Brent Bowers made the tackle, the ball popped loose, and Brian Mayo picked up another fumble. Brown immediately went to the air as he rolled right to avoid the defensive pressure and found Scott Goodkey right down the middle for the touchdown. The extra point kick was faked again, and Brown hit Bowers for the two-point conversion for the Broncos. The San Juan defense was as solid as a brick wall as they gave the Rabbits no room to run. A bad snap on the punt gave the Broncos a chance to get the ball back in great field position. Back on offense, Brown pitched the ball back to Goodkey, who ran around the left side behind Bowers, Bowering, Purcell, and Farnsworth for the touchdown. Sterling Black and Mike Brown teamed up to make this stop. And when the Rabbits tried to go deep again, who was there but Brooks Shumway to steal still another pass? On the first play of the drive, Brent Bowers picked up a few hard-earned yards courtesy of Mike Bowering's block. Brown then found Bowers at the 6. With only 6 seconds left in the half, Mike Brown tried to run the ball in, but when he could see that he wasn't going to make it, he stuck out his hand, the ball in it, and just got the ball over the goal line into the end zone. Delta tried to run a reverse at the start of the second half, but Brian Mayo was just waiting for them. When San Juan got the ball back, Bowers faked a halfback pass and picked up 20 yards on his own. Scott Goodkey picked up still more yards around the left end, but the drive stopped short of the end zone. Delta desperately needed some points, so when they went to the air, Troy Palmer was there to pick off the pass. Brown then hit Bowering coming across the middle. Goodkey then scored the touchdown for the Broncos right up the middle. Delta felt safer keeping the ball on the ground, but a Rabbit fumble was picked up by Willie Begay, who returned it for San Juan's final touchdown of the day. Willie was escorted into the end zone by Troy Palmer and Brian Mayo. The Rabbits were feeling snake-bitten since everything they tried to do turned into points for the Broncos, but as they tried to pass once more, Brian Mayo shot in from his defensive end position to get the sack. With the starters out on the next series, John Brown connected with Corby Bales. Kyle Goodkey then carried the ball outside for 5 more yards. Brown then handed off to Wade Stevenson coming around the left end. Willie Begay stopped the next Rabbit drive, and Delta was finished for the game as San Juan advanced to the semifinals with a convincing score of 40-6. San Juan was the home team in the semifinal game with Manti, even though the game was played on the field at Carbon High School. As the Templars tried to go to the air, Brooks Shumway picked off a Manti pass and returned it to the 28. The Bronco drive stopped when the Templars intercepted a Mike Brown pass. Manti tried to get the ball outside, but Brent Bowers came up with a hard-hitting tackle right at the line of scrimmage. After a man-tie punt, Scott Goodkey moved the ball out to the 50, but once again the Broncos had to punt the ball away. The Templars tried to draw reverse, but the Broncos were all over them. The series ended with still another punt. On the next Broncos series, their luck would start to change. Scott Goodkey picked up 8 yards off the blocks of Eric Spotted Elk and Troy Palmer. Brown then pitched to Bowers, who gained 19 yards. Brown then hit Bowers again across the middle for 30 more yards and a touchdown. The first quarter ended with the Broncos on top, 6-0. Manti tried to move the ball up the middle, but San Juan continued to shut them down. From the shotgun, Brown hit Goodkey, who gained 8 yards, but the Broncos were forced to punt the ball away again. Willie Begay, Troy Palmer, and Tommy Purcell put the defensive pressure on Manti. With the additional pressure of a blitz, San Juan caught Manti for a 15-yard loss with the sack. When they tried to move the ball outside, Mike Brown and Brian Mayo were there to stop them. On offense, Brown quickly got the ball back to Goodkey, who moved the ball to the Templars' 43. Bowers took it right and advanced the ball to the 26. Brown faked the handoff to Adam Black and then followed Nielsen Brown and Chris Wilcox downfield and into the end zone as he picked up 26 yards on the play, and San Juan led 13-0. After the kickoff, Manti started to move the ball, but the pressure from the defensive front and the coverage of the secondary added up to another sack for Brian Mayo and Nielsen Brown. The Templars advanced the ball to the 1-yard line where they had first and goal. On first, with no place to go, the quarterback met up with Nielsen Brown, David Halls, and Brooke Shumway. They tried to pitch to the fullback with a crackback block by the motion man to free him up, but Scott Goodkey, Mike Brown, and Sterling Black were there for the stop. On third down, they tried a pass, but Troy Palmer came in with a vengeance to get the sack. 4th and 10 found Manti rolling out for the pass, but pressure from Palmer and Mayo forced an early pass over the receiver covered by Brent Bowers and Mike Brown. 4 downs to get 1 yard, and the Broncos shut the Templars down. Brown then gave the ball to Adam Black, who picked up 22 yards. With everybody looking to the big play men of either Bowers, Goodkey, or Bowering, the Broncos called for the old Fumbarooski as Troy Palmer picked the ball up off the ground and followed the blocking of Brent Bowers to move the ball down to the 22-yard line. The ball was intentionally placed on the ground as Brown continued his motion to Goodkey. Palmer reached down behind his feet, picked up the ball, which no one else had seen, and, running around the left, found Brent Bowers, who was waiting there to escort him down the field. Palmer picked up 43 yards on the play. A field goal attempt at the end of the first half was no good, but the Broncos led 13-0. Manti kicked to the Broncos to start the second half, and they tried to stop the return by kicking the ball short. Mike Brown fielded the ball, turned and pitched to Brooke Shumway, who started around the right side and gave back to Brent Bowers going to the left. Bowers went 81 yards for the touchdown. The PAT was no good, and San Juan led 19-0. The Templars tried to start a drive, but the defense was all over them. When they went to the air, Mike Brown picked off the pass and returned it for a touchdown. Brown was led into the end zone by 5 of his teammates. In just under 1.5 minutes, San Juan had put the game out of reach as they now led 26-0. Manti had no better luck on the next series as they were forced to punt the ball away once again. On the Broncos' next series, Brown hit Adam Black for 15 yards. He then got the ball to Bowers, who moved it down to the 20-yard line. The Broncos were unable to score, and Manti couldn't move the ball either. So after the Templar punt, Brent Bowers ran off to the right side and picked up 27 yards. Scott Goodkey started the fourth period by taking the ball off left tackle to gain 16 yards. Brown then hit Bowers with a short pass. He then gave it to Goodkey on the draw, who ran it in for the touchdown. The fake PAT worked again and gave the Broncos 2 more points as Brown hit Mayo for the 2-point conversion. The Rabbits started looking long, and they overlooked the coverage of Brooks Shumway as he stepped in to pick off this Delta pass. Brown then got the ball to Mike Bowering with this little look-in pass. And with 3rd and goal from the 17-yard line, Brown scrambled out under pressure, found Bowering again, this time in the end zone, to push the score to 41-15. Once again, even the football was on the side of the Broncos as the Templars attempted to return this San Juan punt. Brent Bowers' helmet hit the ball when he made the tackle, and the ball popped out of the ball carrier's arms and into the hands of Mike Bowering, who scored again. For the first time in the 27-year history of football at San Juan, they now had the chance to be crowned as the best in the state. There was only 1 game left. Excitement ran high as the captains from San Juan and Hurricane met at the center of the field at Mountain View High School. The 2 teams had met to open the season, and it was only right that they would meet to finish it as well. San Juan's opening kickoff landed short, but the return man from Hurricane was unable to get his hands on the ball, and by the time he did, coverage from the Broncos brought him down on the 5-yard line. Hurricane tried to get the ball outside, but tremendous lateral pursuit from Brian Mayo and David Halls stopped them at the line of scrimmage. The dive up the middle gained nothing. And the rollout pass was even more unsuccessful as Scott Gutke caught the quarterback for a 7-yard loss. After the Tigers' punt, San Juan faked the sweep to Gutke out of the shotgun formation and then dumped the pass outside to Bowers, who got the ball down to the Hurricane 30. A Brown to Bowers pass moved the ball to the 6-yard line, but a fumble into the end zone on the next play gave the ball back to the Tigers. A flare pass to the left by the Tigers was stopped at the line of scrimmage by Sterling Black. Hurricane started the second quarter with a pass across the middle, but Mike Brown stepped in to break it up. Once again, the dive up the middle gained nothing as the Bronco defense stopped Hurricane cold. When they ran the same play a second time, the results were basically the same. 1 Tiger against 5 Broncos. A rollout to the left gained nothing as Sterling Black and Nielsen Brown tripped up the quarterback. The dive up the middle was again unsuccessful. An option off of the left side left the ball carrier staring into the faces of Sterling Black, Chris Wilcox, Nielsen Brown, Scott Gutke, Brian Mayo, and Mike Brown. With just 1 minute left in the first half and the score tied at 0, San Juan took over on their own 30. Mike Brown went to the air and hit Brent Bowers, who gained 50 yards, getting the ball down to the 20-yard line. From the shotgun, Brown hit Gutke, who got down to the 8. And with only 22 seconds left, Brown dumped the ball off to Brent Bowers, who scored for the Broncos. San Juan now led 7-0. With 16 seconds left in the half, San Juan kicked off to the Tigers. Hurricane bobbled the kick, but advanced it out to the 35, where they did fumble, and Adam Black recovered for the Broncos. Mike Brown dropped back, set the ball over everyone and into the hands of Adam Black, who scored again for the Broncos as they took a 13-0 lead into the locker room at halftime. To start the second half, Hurricane kicked the ball to Brooks Shumway, who handed off to Brent Bowers again. Brent went all the way for the touchdown. Counting the last minute of the first half and the opening kickoff of the second, San Juan had scored 21 points in just 74 seconds. With the PAT, which was scored by Scott Gutke with a Mike Brown pass, the Broncos led 21-0. San Juan was so pumped up by their success that they almost forced another fumble by the Tigers. The rollout didn't work for Hurricane as pressure up the middle forced the quarterback into the arms of Nielsen Brown. The draw didn't work for the Tigers either. When they tried to pass, Nielsen Brown, Tommy Purcell, and Brian Mayo chased them out of bounds. When the Tigers finally did get a pass off, there was Brent Bowers waiting for the interception. Brown faked the handoff to Bowers and then hit Gootke with a shovel pass. Bowers then followed Gootke and Nielsen Brown around the right side. A naked rollout by Mike Brown moved the ball deep into Tiger territory. Adam Black added even more yardage to it, but the Broncos turned the ball over to the Tigers on downs. San Juan didn't allow the Hurricanes anything on their series, and when they attempted a fake punt, they weren't even close to getting the first down. David Halls and Mike Brown were both there to make the stop. Brent Bowers took the handoff from Brown to go off right tackle to get the ball deep into Tiger territory. Adam Black then went around the left end and headed straight for the corner of the end zone to score again for the Broncos. The PAT was good, and San Juan led 28-0. Even though it appeared that the Broncos had the victory sewed up, they never let down on their intensity, as this defensive pressure shows. Even with a 28-point lead, San Juan kept coming at the Tigers on every down. Even the trick stuff didn't work, as the defense all stayed at home to do their jobs. When the Broncos got the ball back, Gootke made a strong run up the middle. Back on defense, Brown, Mayo, and Halls combined to stop this pass play. After Hurricane scored, Gootke kept the pressure up with this fine run to move the ball down into Tiger territory. Scott's run to the right side got the ball down to the Tiger 20. Hurricane got the ball back for another try to salvage some of their pride, but when they put the ball in the air, Mike Brown stepped in front of it and carried the interception into the end zone for the Broncos' final touchdown of the day. And on the final play of the season, with the 34-16 victory well in hand, the Broncos played as intense as they had all season long. Talent, hard work, dedication, and discipline had turned this bunch of young men into the best two-way football team in the state of Utah.
I think the thing that people are going to remember about this team Not only were they state champions, which is a tremendous accomplishment, but that they were outstanding young men, good students, and good examples to the younger players and young men in our town and school. And that they accomplished this goal through teamwork. We had a tremendous amount of teamwork. The players liked each other, and they were willing to go out on the limb and do something extra to make something work for the other player. And in the end, this is really what made us such a difficult team to defense. We were able to be well balanced, and we might throw to 5 or 6 different receivers in one football game and have 4 or 5 different ball carriers in a football game. The defense was known for its gang tackling and work ethic, just a hard-working bunch of young men without a great amount of talent. And just a tribute to what a young person can do if they set their mind to it and set some goals and set out to accomplish those goals. And I'm hoping that this will continue on in the years to come.
Oh no, this is our family jewel. We are family. Sing it to me. I got all my sisters with me. Sing it to me. We are family. I can hear you, y'all. Let everybody sing. We are family. Hey, hey, I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, y'all. Let everybody sing. Hey, hey, we are family. I got my sisters with me. I got all my sisters with me. Everybody, hey, hey, we are family. Y'all, hey, hey, let everybody sing. Get up and sing it to me.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me.